We are coming to you live tonight from an undisclosed location here in the Middle East where the situation behind us is rapidly deteriorating. You can likely hear it for yourselves. There have been repeated explosions in the distance over the past few minutes, bursts of gunfire echoing across this area, sirens continuing almost non-stop, and emergency vehicles moving through the streets as military and security forces attempt to contain what is clearly an extremely volatile and still unfolding crisis. Just moments ago, another loud blast shook this position and sent additional smoke into the sky behind us. Authorities here are telling us very little at this hour, and much of what is happening remains tightly controlled and difficult to verify independently in real time. What we can confirm is that this area remains under intense strain, that movement on the ground is increasing, and that officials are deeply concerned that tonight's violence may be connected to a much larger regional development now drawing urgent attention from military observers and government sources around the world. At the center of that development is dramatic new video now circulating among defense analysts and major newsrooms, showing a B-1 Lancer on a live training mission in the United States, flying low through the massive granite walls and steep valleys of Yosemite. Officials are not confirming the purpose of that flight, and they are revealing very little about what may come next, but sources familiar with the situation say the footage is being treated as highly significant because it appears to show preparation for an operation somewhere near this region, where terrain, danger, and uncertainty may all play a decisive role. To understand why that footage has triggered such intense interest tonight, you have to understand what the world is looking at. The B-1 is seen sweeping through Yosemite Valley at extremely low altitude, banking through towering rock formations, moving through tight natural corridors, and hugging the landscape in a way that immediately suggested to many observers that this was not routine training. It was not just dramatic, it was deliberate, it was controlled, and it was clearly designed to simulate an environment where terrain itself could become as much a threat as anything waiting on the ground. Officials are stressing that many of the details remain closely guarded. They are not confirming a target, they are not confirming timing, they are not confirming whether a mission is imminent, but at this hour the full objective remains unclear, and that uncertainty is precisely what is fueling so much concern. The footage, combined with the sudden escalation we are witnessing here tonight, has led to intense speculation that a major operation may be under consideration, possibly one requiring crews to move through extremely dangerous canyon-like terrain under very high-risk conditions. And there is another layer to this story tonight, one that officials are refusing to address directly. Multiple sources are hinting that this mission may not be focused on a conventional threat alone. They are not elaborating, and no agency has publicly confirmed the nature of what they may be dealing with. But in quiet conversations behind the scenes, there is growing mention of an unknown force, something not yet defined, not yet understood, and not yet being discussed openly in official briefings. While we must be careful to separate confirmed information from unverified reports, the atmosphere here on the ground tonight makes one thing unmistakably clear: something is changing. There is a noticeable increase in military traffic in this area. Emergency personnel have been repositioning repeatedly. We have heard warning sirens in waves. There have been shouted commands from security units nearby. At least twice in the last 10 minutes, we have seen bright flashes beyond the skyline, followed seconds later by shock waves strong enough to rattle structures around us. Just a moment ago, another burst of gunfire rang out from farther down this corridor behind me, and people in this area briefly took cover before re-emerging. That gives you some sense of how unstable conditions remain here. This is not a situation where officials have full control of the narrative yet. It is evolving by the minute. We are witnessing the kind of atmosphere that often surrounds the early stages of a major international turning point, where bits of evidence, fragments of official language, and activity on the ground begin to form a picture, but never quite fast enough to answer the questions everyone is asking. What makes the B-1 footage so striking tonight is not only the aircraft itself, but the symbolism of the setting. Yosemite is one of the most visually dramatic landscapes in the world, with narrow valleys, sheer cliff faces, and the kind of terrain that demands precision, discipline, and nerve. In the footage, the bomber appears to slice through that environment with extraordinary control, roaring between massive walls of stone, dropping into shadow, then emerging again into open light. It is the sort of imagery that immediately communicates preparation, seriousness, and risk, even when officials refuse to explain exactly what is being rehearsed. And now, as those images are replayed again and again in command centers and newsrooms, the question is no longer simply where this aircraft may be headed. The deeper question is what exactly it may be preparing to confront. Officials are revealing very little little. Sources are stressing that many details remain closely guarded, but there is a growing sense tonight that the mission may involve a threat that does not fit neatly into the categories military planners are used to discussing in public. Where behind me tonight, the signs of strain are impossible to ignore. Smoke is hanging low across parts of the horizon. Sirens continue to rise and fall in the background. We are hearing engines, radios, and movement from positions we cannot fully identify from where we are standing. Civilian movement has been sharply reduced in this sector, and where people are present, they are moving quickly, often with heads down, clearly aware that the situation is unstable and that further violence cannot be ruled out. Authorities here are telling us that they are monitoring multiple developments at once, though they are declining to comment on any direct connection between the fighting unfolding behind us and the training footage now under intense scrutiny. This is LiL TAB reporting live from an undisclosed location in the Middle East.